Hi everyone, it's Nikki with Still Waters Designs. You have found your way to this video because you have just purchased a wreath and probably received it in the mail from my Etsy store, and it's time for you to assemble your wreath. And so this is just a quick tutorial for you to see how to do that. So before we dive in, you're just going to want a pretty decent sized space to build your wreath on. Just your dining room table would be fine. And just allow 30 to 60 minutes, okay? So let's go through the goodies that were shipped to you in your box, and keep in mind that it doesn't matter the style of wreath that you ordered from us, they all build exactly the same. So in your kit, you received one wreath form that's going to look something like this. You received a variety of different types of Deco mesh, which looks like this, and they're all rolled together, each type is. And you've also received a variety of pre-cut ribbons. And last but not least, the decorative sign that goes with your ribbon. So those are all of the contents of your wreath kit. Okay, so let's get started. You're going to want your wreath work form in front of you. This is where we're going to build the wreath. And the first thing that you want to do is stand up all of the chenille stems, or as most people call them, pipe cleaners. So they're already attached to your work form, and you're just going to stand them all up. There's 2 rows. So just stand all of those guys up so they're pointing straight up in the air on both of the rows. Okay, once you've got all of your chenille stems pointing straight up, then just open each pair into a V and keep them pointing up. So just work your way around your wreath form and open those chenille stems into a V. And it doesn't need to be terribly wide, just a couple of inches or so. All right, now that you've got all of your chenille stems pointing up and opened up into a V, it's time for the first step in building your wreath. So you're going to have received, depending on the type of wreath that you ordered, 3 to 5 different types of Deco mesh. And what I like to do is just open them all up so they're individual rolls, and you'll just have a large pile of Deco mesh on your work area. And what you're going to do is place one piece of Deco mesh into each V of the chenille stems. So I'm going to actually show you what you're going to do. So you're just going to choose any color. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that you just want to randomize your Deco mesh pieces into your wreath. So don't put same colors side by side. But other than that, it's your wreath. Decorate it how you want and throw those colors in any order that you would want. So you're going to take a single piece of Deco mesh, and it naturally likes to curl in on itself, okay? So open the piece of Deco mesh, lay it flat on your work area, and once you do that, you're going to take both hands and put it at the end of your Deco mesh, and you're going to keep your hands stationary, especially your thumbs. So your hands will stay still, your thumbs will stay still, and they are on top of the end of the Deco mesh. And then with your 8 fingers, you're just gonna crawl the Deco mesh in towards your thumbs and pinch that material together, just holding it in place until you reach the end of the piece of Deco mesh. And then pinch it together, and you should have what we call a bow of Deco mesh that looks something like this. And there's no such thing as a perfect bow, so don't worry about doing anything with it. You're just going to keep it pinched. And once you have that pinched, You're going to place your deco mesh into a V of the chenille stems. I prefer to work on the lower ring and complete that ring first, and then I move into the upper ring. So within your deco mesh pinch, here you're going to stick it within the V of your chenille stems. Give it 2 good tight twists. Leave those stems pointing straight up, and you have just added your very first piece of deco mesh. You're going to do this all the way around the bottom ring, alternating colors. And once you finish adding the deco mesh to the bottom ring, you're going to move into the top ring and do the same thing. So we're going to do one more piece together. Pull out your deco mesh, lay it flat so the curling sides are down. Put both hands at the end of the deco mesh on the deco mesh, keeping your hands and thumbs stationary, and then moving 8 of your fingers. Crawl that deco mesh into your thumbs and just hold it in place until you reach the end of the deco mesh. Pinch and don't let go, and you've got yourself a deco mesh bow. So you'll just move to the very next chenille stem on your wreath form, place the deco mesh right down into the center of that V all the way at the bottom, give it 2 tight good twists, leave your chenille stems up, and now we've got 2 pieces added to our wreath. So let's take some time and get our deco mesh added to our wreath, and then we'll talk about step 2. All right, friends, so you've finished adding all of the deco mesh to your wreath, and it should look something like this. And so your wreath is entirely full of deco mesh, and everything is secured down, and all of your chenille stems or pipe cleaners should still be pointing straight up in the air, as you can see mine are with the V. Now that bottom row, sometimes those pipe cleaners get tangled up or hidden underneath the deco mesh. Don't worry, you'll be able to easily find those when you're ready to do your next step with those. So now that we've added all the deco mesh, it's time to add our sign. So what you need to remember is that at this point, your wreath doesn't have a top or bottom. So you are going to just take your sign that you received with your kit, and you'll notice on either side or top and bottom, depending on your sign type, will be a pre-drilled hole on each side. And so you're just going to choose where you want that to lay, just somewhere in the center of the wreath. And so I'm going to choose it just to lay right here. And then once you have it just laying on top of your deco mesh, it's time to secure it. So find the closest set of chenille stems, and you're going to use the same V. So find the closest one. Stick one of the chenille stems from the same V into the hole, and then take the external chenille stem and give it 2 or 3 tight twists. So you want your sign to be secure, but you don't want it to be so far down into your wreath that you're squishing your deco mesh, or that your sign kind of gets lost in the deco mesh. So do that on both sides. And after you do that, even though there's just a little bit of chenille stem left from where we've attached it, go ahead and leave that little V still sticking up. So now it should look centered. You've got it adhered with the chenille stems, and you've left a little bit of a V on each side. You've just completed part 2. So the last part to building your wreath, the most fun part I feel, is to attach all of your ribbons. So within your kit, you probably received 4 to 6 decorative pre-cut ribbons. 2 of the types will be 2.5 inches wide, and the other 2 or 3, depending on how many came with your kit, will be 1.5 inches wide. It doesn't matter how you mix and match your ribbon. I prefer to place one 2.5-inch ribbon with a 1.5-inch ribbon. So each Chanel stem V that's still sticking up is going to get 2 ribbons. You determine what to, it doesn't matter, it's your wreath, decorate it how you'd like. So place one ribbon on top of the other. And after you do that, you're going to kind of do a little pinch and pleat right in the center of that ribbon. So it looks something like this, and it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to fuss with it a little bit after we attach it. The first 2 sets of ribbon that you're going to add will be on the Chanel stem V's that you use to affix your sign. So you're going to keep it pinched with your fingers, and while pinching, place down in the center of the V, give it 2 good, firm, tight twists, and then just kind of roll that remaining stem under so it's not poking out. So I'm going to do one on each side, and I like to mix and match things. So I've taken my 1.5-inch on top of my 2.5-inch. I'm going to do the pinch and pleat in the center, and it does not have to be perfect. Sticking it into the center of the other V on the other side of my sign, 2 tight twists, and then tuck that stem under. And then I like to fuss with my ribbons a little bit. So I kind of jerk them from one side to another. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. So when you first put it on, it's going to look like this because they were just one on top of another. But I like to fuss with mine a little bit so it kind of looks like a narrow X. It's your wreath. You can do it how you like. That's just how I prefer to do it. So at this point, you're going to do the same thing that we did with the Deco mesh, and you're going to give 2 ribbons to each pipe cleaner. So go ahead and work your way through and add 2 ribbons per pipe cleaner, giving it 2 tight twists. Okay, so we've got our first couple of sets of ribbons attached on either side of our sign, and we're going to throw the rest of the ribbon into our Deco mesh. So go ahead and take some time, pair up your ribbons, and you're going to remember to put 2 ribbons in each Chanel stem V. And once you put those in there, give it a couple of tight twists and then curl the leftover Chanel stems down underneath and fuss with your ribbons how you would like, and get them all loaded into your wreath. Okay, crafters, you have just finished your wreath. Let's take a look. So you've added all of your Deco mesh, you've added your sign with your ribbons on each side, and each of your Chanel stems has received 2 ribbons, and you fluffed them as you like, and you've tucked them in, and you have just completed your wreath. I am sure it is gorgeous, and I appreciate you visiting Stillwater's Designs. And for your order, please keep an eye on our Etsy store. We're always adding new things, and we'd love to see you back. Thanks. Have a great day.